and we're live. So welcome to what is essentially a very chill stream. I was bored, it's unplanned, but you know what? Let's just have some fun. So I'm gonna be assembling some Cadron overlords. Oh, is my camera all right? Is it the background? Is there too much light coming through? I think there might be just too much light. There we go. It's much better. So welcome to what is a very, very impromptu stream. Good afternoon? Good morning? Afternoon? Morning, Crowban. Welcome. See if we can get into this without some scissors. Don't think we might be able not to. Oh, morning, Hank. Joe, hello to you. Good morning, afternoon. Intriguing title. It is an intriguing title, Painting Politics. But to be honest, I don't know if we're going to actually get to any painting because we've actually got to assemble. We've actually got to assemble the stuff first. Oh, this part of the battle. Trying to get into these packs is so annoying. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. We're in. We're in. Go. So, first up on the build list is the Ethernet Navigator for the Cadron Overlord. So I'm going to build him first. I think this is going to be the interesting one because I think his staff looks very, 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 very fiddly. But this is a painting politics stream. Painting probably not on the agenda today. Like I say, depends how long it takes to actually build these. Hopefully it might not be long. We'll have to see. Have I spelt the title wrong? I bet I have. But that's why people are calling it interesting title. But I have. Oh, I can't tell now. Can I tell? Ah, well, never mind. Sorry. We'll change it after if it's spelled wrong. Sorry. Oh, how is everyone doing today? You all doing well? That's the important thing? Are you all feeling well today? Snip this guy out. Excellent, 2 thumbs up there. From Crowban. So, what are people's thoughts then on Starmer, quote unquote, taking responsibility? Because I tell you now, it's bit of a fun ride. Oh yeah, I can't remember the results off the top of my head now. I think from what I remember, they've just got short of a majority, but apparently the Scottish Greens give them the majority or something like that. I mean, I'm sure someone will correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's how it's worked out or something like that. One work. Are you making models of buses now? No. Well, actually, technically, the meme for the Cadron Overlords in AOS is they have buses. So maybe maybe it's not too far from the truth. Oh, good day. I'm not sure if that's someone joining us from Australia or someone just saying good day. Hang on, I'm going to need to turn a light on. Because even though it's daylight, I can't see. There we go. Oh. Right. Much better. Like I say, I had to, even though I've had to turn a light on, we've had to close this because at the moment the sun is streaming through here and just wipes out the camera completely. So it's how unfortunately it goes sometimes, but there you go. The perils of the perils of filming indoors, as they say. There you go. Yeah, I thought that's how it might be, but yeah, the next part is actually going for it. It does sound like Boris is going to certainly put his foot in the way, shall we say, of it. How successful, of course, he's going to be is another matter, but like I say, we're going to have to see, and then that will almost certainly upset the apple cart. But unfortunately, like I say, Labour's going to be probably in the midst of a civil war, which is not what it needs right now. Like as someone said there, not necessarily the biggest fan of Starmer myself, but is what we've got. And sometimes you've got to make the best of what you got. You know, back when I said when I joined Labour, missed the first part of the stream. What figures are you working on? Working on this guy first. And then we've got the Ether Chemist, and then we've got an Arcanaut company. So we're going to try and build those, and then I'll see how I feel about see how we feel about actually getting around to painting them. We'll see. A little bit of a tag there. There we go. There we go. He's got his legs on there. There we go. I need a 3D printer. Probably, I have seen some of the stuff that 3D printers have done, and they're not there yet. Like not on the level, like the scale of detail that GW put on their models yet. But they're getting there slowly but surely. Yeah, but in terms of obviously what's going to go on in Scotland, there is going to be obviously the big push for the referendum vote. But I have seen a lot of things that have said that while it might work in their favor, they might be putting it off at least for the time being. But we'll have to see. Like I say, we'll have to see what happens. Who knows? It could all change. Who knows? I love boring incompetent. It's only British people who want incompetent, but exciting. Merkel could never have been a politician in the UK. True. True. Britain needs a new political party. If you're going to create, this is the big problem. If you want to create a new political party in the UK, it is going to take decades to actually create. That's the biggest problem. But again, that's how our politics currently is. That's our voting system. First past the post pretty much does not allow for any big mainstream parties. Unfortunately, the way it is, but like I say, you've got to play the game. This is what I keep on saying to a lot of people. You've got to play the game in politics sometimes, or else there's no point playing. And like I say, we've got to play the game. And that the rules of the game currently say first past the post. Do I think he should step down? Big problem is who do you put in his place? Like generally, who do you put in his place? I can't think of another person that can stand, because Corbyn's not going to come back. Let's try this. There we go. That's better. There we go. Because Corbyn's not going to come back. I don't care what people say. This idea that Corbyn's going to come back, doubt it. John McDonnell, again, I don't know. Like I say, I genuinely don't know who you could put in. It's really difficult. It really is. And oh no, it's still there. Thought I'd lost my piece then. It is really difficult to say who you run. The most upsetting thing, of course, and don't get me wrong, I'm glad he won. Andy Burnham. Like generally, Andy Burnham, current now re-elected mayor of Greater Manchester, could do, I think, a fantastic job as a Labour leader, as a potential future Labour leader. Absolutely. Yeah, he would, but like I say, at the moment, he's mayor of Greater Manchester. So that sort of takes him out of the running for 4 more years, potentially. So there's 4 more years before he can actually stand as Labour leader, unless he stands down as mayor of Greater Manchester. And to be honest, I'd rather him stay there, because it gives him a really good power base to build on from there. And like I say, my own MP, Dan Jarvis, has been tipped a number of times. There we go. Oh, I'm going to hate this. I love so many of GW's models, but sometimes they do stuff and it's so fiddly. And you know, if you're a war gamer, how likely that is to break off in transport, even if you are being careful. But oh, but yeah, yeah. So what's that? The cloud hopper. I think the Tory strategy is working fantastically. Cut funds to Labour areas, and if they want to vote Tory, they will be in power indefinitely. True, but eventually, I think people will see through that. They can't continue that strategy forever. That is not a strategy that will uh, they will be able to continue indefinitely, because it becomes an absolute hammering weapon to hit them with. Like, why are you not funding that? And that becomes a political liability against them. So initially, it may have some successes, but ultimately, it's not going to work. Like I say, if you follow the Tory ideology, the whole idea of leveling up is complete bogus, because we know what they want. They want a low tax, low regulation economy. That is what they set out for Brexit to do. And those people are now in charge. It's what's essentially is going to happen. There we go. His backpack on there. Yeah, mainstream media does need to call them out on it, to be honest. Well, the thing is, eventually, people won't get tired of it, because the idea of them funding the North and funding places like Hartlepool is not going to happen. They're going to get thrown breadcrumbs at best, and then all Labour has to do is turn around and say, "Oh, you've been funding and saying that the funding of the North and putting money and investing into these areas doesn't really work." Well, okay, we're going to invest 10 times the amount of what you're saying investing. And it just works better in their favour. Like I say, at the moment, the prevailing attitude in Hartlepool, as we covered on Friday, was that people now people now want their pound of flesh. You know, they voted Conservative. They now want their due, and that is just as dangerous for someone like Boris Johnson as anything else. You know, it's dangerous for them, because now he has to actually keep the promise of actually leveling up the North. And like I said, I've said multiple times before on this channel, two big ideas at the moment are fighting it out in the Conservative Party: the leveling up agenda and the global Britain agenda. And neither one can actually work without undermining the other. And we can already see that Liz Truss running around getting these awful trade deals, which will massively undermine not only British manufacturing, British farming and agriculture. It's not going to work. fiddly. Yeah, you are right about that. Boris doesn't even know what levelling up actually means because it was just an empty, hollow slogan. Like so much of the Brexit slogans that were thrown around, Boris doesn't even know what it is because it was just empty platitudes that got, the punters in the seat. And unfortunately, you have to actually deliver on what you say because, to quote the new Conservative MP for Hartlepool, people up north aren't stupid. And sooner or later, you actually have to deliver on your promise. And if you think the Southern MPs in the Tory party are going to actually start to vote for this levelling up agenda, think again. Yeah, but there comes a point where they actually have to deliver. And if they can't deliver on that, the next election, it comes in, it looks bad for them. All those people who held their noses and voted Conservative for the very first time, they're just going to switch back. Or they'll not vote at all. And like I say, there are a lot of very, very nervous MPs. In fact, what's been the result for Hartlepool Council? Does anyone know that out of pure interest? Because that's going to be quite interesting. Like much of the north at the moment might have put some new they might have voted Conservative, but it's damn it, I hate it when it's fiddly like this. There we go. My guy's nearly complete. Just need to put on some more pipature, as they say. And this is another thing that we need to do. We need to have like a really serious discussion at some point about how we get these people back, because you have to get these people back. And ultimately, if you listen to what they're saying, it's very simple. We want someone in power that's really, really going to invest in us and listen to us. Doesn't take a lot to actually do that. You've just got to, get in there and deliver some serious policies to them. I mean, one of the big things that Labour really needs to start doing is to really look, and always, if they can, to try and run a local candidate. Oh, is it Europe Day? I didn't realise that. Happy Europe Day, everyone. Yeah, it's the never ending cycle. Unfortunately, sometimes you have to tell people the truth, but the problem is the truth is not necessarily what they want to hear. So, I 100% agree with you on that. 100% agree with you on that. But far, far better that they're told the truth than that. Oh, hang on, I think it was the Viking just posted the results, disappeared. Hartlepool Conservative Council, now Conservative Party, 13, Labour 11, Independent 10, Independent Union 2. So it depends where those independents lie. It will depend where those independents lie to see who gets control of that council. We'll have to see. Has that been much of a change though? I'm not too sure. Of course, we had the issue of last election in Hartlepool, where the Brexit Party candidates suddenly decided to switch over to the Conservatives. So that could be, again, quite interesting. Yeah, they were sort of pro-independence, but yeah. Right. Blue here, red blue there. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our first model built and done. Put you over there for the time being. Away, on to the next one. So now we're building the Ether Chemist, the Cadron Overlords. Need you anymore? Show that later. But yeah, like I say, the last thing we need at the moment is a civil war in Labour. I think the question is, someone asked earlier, should Starmer go? The big question is we're now looking at a general election now in 2024, I think it is. Oh, always does this with my chat. I don't know why it does. Sometimes why it doesn't do it. Hopefully that will keep the chat on. But yeah, the last thing we need is a civil war, because a civil war does nothing but favour the Tories and favour the right-wing press. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting time because I said it earlier on. Who do you run? And honestly, I think the best people to run is Andy Burnham. And you're all right, Yumika. 3 years is a very short time. Those next elections, that next general elections will come round like a snap. And unless we've got policy to put forward, you can forget it. I mean, Peter Mandelson, of all things, I actually agree with him with this quote. Labour were absolutely stupid to send out an MP completely naked. He had absolutely nothing to, nothing to give, nothing to say. The Conservative MP had tons to say about, getting Brexit done. Getting Brexit done, getting the coronavirus out sorted, and that was another thing that, again, needs to be taken into account. The fact that yes, the much vaunted vaccine boost is real. And that is an effect. And like I say, there's a lot of people saying, yeah, Boris Johnson's got nothing to do with the vaccine rollout. It's NHS and Army Logistics that have sorted it out. Let me start with you. 1 and 2. And I think I don't understand why Angela Rayner's gone. Yes, you are right there, random blogger. COVID has hidden a lot of the Brexit damage. That is very true. And like I say, they've also kicked down a lot, as we've discussed before, a lot of the custom checking dates till at least October and of March and April next year. So they've kicked all those far, far down the road, far away from the election. So it makes perfect sense because Boris can come out with his whole, mission accomplished. I got Brexit done. The big problem comes after that because there are a lot of people thinking that Boris might want to have an early election. That is something we have to consider. What if Boris decides to, rather than have the general election in 3 years' time, in 2 years' time, decides to have an early election? Could do it. He could do it. He's got the numbers in Parliament. If he can convince his, if he can convince his fellow Conservatives to switch back to have that early election, then yeah, the Conservatives will do it. I don't think there'll be too much of an objection to that, especially if they're in a very favourable position. Sky Analysis said there would be Tory majority of 48. Still a majority for them. Yeah, they'd have lost a lot of seats, no doubt, from what is it, 84 to 48. If it's in, Boris Johnson's political interests and he thinks it's in his best interests, and he can convince enough Conservatives to do it, they'll do it. And I do not think Boris will mind if he loses seats in the Red Wall. Yeah, it's a much, vaunted thing for him to talk about, of course. Let's not underestimate that. But at the end of the day, Boris does not care about the North. He cares about staying in power. And even at the end of the day, what was it, 48 seats for an early general election? Still a good majority. Oh, why does this keep on doing that? Sorry. Ian, do you think it's possible Keir Starmer is running the election without policies on purpose to lose maturing? I don't think so. We'll see. I very much doubt it. Yeah, the whole Navy thing is just ridiculous. So ridiculous. I think that was just to rile up the voting base because they known about it for months in advance. They knew it was going to happen. And what a perfect election stunt it was. Some more people joining us. Welcome to the party. We're just busy building some Age of Sigmar stuff. I'll show you in a minute after I've done this. Because it's always that. Also, another reason we have to worry about the next general election, especially, is the boundary changes. Those boundary changes are going to be big in the next general election. They're going to play a massive part in especially assuring Conservative victories. Go ahead. Oh, that's much better. You've got nowhere to put your drink, Nick. Mm-hmm. There we go. There we go. That's the body and the head assembled. Oh, wow, Yumika, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your support there, Yumika. Thank you very much. Always very much appreciated. And like I said, I think we're at that stage now where I think, I think this week we're going to get the analysis of what happened. And don't get me wrong, that's important. It's always good to know what happened, why it happened, because when you know that, you can then start to plan ahead. And we've got to seriously start to consider talk Vogue on poetry. It's so long since I've read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So long. So I'm gonna have to dig that book out because I've got it on my bookshelf. So I'm gonna have to dig it out again and have a good read of it. It's been so long since I've read it. But we need to, like I say, we need to think about general election now. Like in any game of politics or any game, you win, you lose. So now it's time to, dust yourself off and get back on the horse and start to prepare for the next general election. And that starts generally that starts with thinking about policy. And the best thing Keir Starmer can do, is to go out and start visiting all the local Labour parties, all the CLPs, and start to form policy from there. That's what we have to do. And the thing is, Starmer also has to get better at public speaking. He was good. Don't get me wrong, he's good in, at House of Commons. He's good at tackling Boris. He was an ex-prosecutor. He's good at that. The thing is, he has to get good at public speaking, in public places, in interviews, being a bit more, he's going to be a bit more enthusiastic about how it does it. And like I say, I'm taking this of the view that Starmer is probably going to be with us until the next general election. I think that's, even though I know it's going to upset a lot of people in the Labour Party, I generally think that's the best thing to do at the moment. I mean, I generally think that's the best thing to do. and he needs to form a vision of the UK that can outcompete Boris's, so that people know what Labour are, what they stand for, and what they can do. And a lot of people are saying it. Starmer, you are right. Starmer does need to start tackling Brexit. He really does need to start tackling Brexit because, if you've been following Brexit and you subscribe to my channel, there's news for days about how wrong Brexit's going, about how foolish it's making the UK and the world. These quote unquote fantastic trade deal we're doing with India is useless. It's nothing. Not only that, but apparently the EU potentially could be stealing a march on us for that. Because they've been talking with India for quite a long time. Again, something apparently we couldn't do, about getting a trade deal. Looks like that could be going ahead. So it looks like even more funnier now if that will happen. And then that will just be another embarrassment for Boris and the Conservatives. The fact that they went out saying, "Oh, we're going to get this, fantastic trade deal with India," and then along comes the EU and just gets a far better trade deal. Because that's where all these trade deals have come. Not a single trade deal we've gotten so far. And I say trade deal in the loosest term because some of the things we have signed are not trade deals, but that's another story. you know? That's going to be really hard to paint. That's going to be really hard to paint. Yes, Summer Viking, you are right. Starmer really needs to put on his big boy pants and seriously go after Boris on so many things, not just Brexit. Not just Brexit. One of the best things that he can do is start going after Boris for his levelling up agenda. Start tackling him on that. The other big thing, start saying and start putting out the motion there that it's, let's just rejoin the customs union and single market. That doesn't break the referendum. Because that's exactly what Leave campaigned for. It was the hard coup performed by the Brexiteers to oust Theresa May because the Brexit was not hard enough that they're in now. And most of our problems are being caused by us not being in there. And as funny as it would be to see Derek Skinner as Labour leader, he would not be a good leader. Because there's more to being leader of a political party than being able to wag your finger at Boris. Don't get me wrong, as fun as it would be to see a Derek Skinner led Labour Party, there would be a lot of problems. That's where that goes. It is where it goes. So yeah, that is generally the next big challenge we need to think about now. The next general election. And as someone's just brought up there, the boundary changes are going to be big. The boundary changes are going to be a big factor in deciding what goes on as well. And we need to start preparing for it now. Yep, we lost. Let's take it, learn from it, and move on. And hopefully, that is what we will do, because we cannot afford to start infighting now in the Labour Party. It will almost guarantee we lose the next general election. Depending, of course, what comes out of that civil war, of course. But it could almost guarantee that we lose, because any civil war, who knows how long it will last? What if the Labour civil war lasts 2 years? So for the next 2 years, Labour just becomes and falls to constant infighting. And then you've only got a year to prepare for the next general election. The fact that we've got 3 years to prepare for the next general election is a massive, massive bonus for us, and we need to prepare for it. And yeah, that does mean that probably Starmer is going to be leading Labour into the next general election. Like it or not, Starmer's probably going to be there. And again, as I said, for one of the reasons for me joining the Labour Party is I'm a leftist. I think Labour needs more leftist policies. I think it needs more progressive MEPs. It needs more progressive policies. Fiddly, come on. Yeah. One done. Let's see. And like I say, the other thing we need to consider is the vaccine bounce, because even I'm looking forward to getting back to some normalcy, being able to go to the club, play with these guys. I haven't had my guys out for over a year. The March 13th was the last time I actually played a game of Warhammer 40k. So, yeah. And like I said, I am glad some of you are on board this, that the next general election needs to be to get the Tories out. I'm so glad many of you are on that board. Welcome to the train. Because that is the objective. We need to get the Tories out. And I know there's going to be lots of talks in the coming days about an electoral alliance. And if this time a progressive alliance can actually be formed then I would welcome it. If not, then some of you are going to have to suck it up and vote Labour, regardless of what you think to them. If you seriously want to get the Tories out and there is no Progressive Alliance, then you're going to have to vote Labour. You might want to vote Green, you might want to vote Lib Dems, but unfortunately, the only thing that can beat the Tories, if a Progressive Alliance does not go ahead or doesn't get confirmed or whatever, it's voting Labour. And I know that's going to upset a lot of people to me just saying that. But it's the truth. If a Progressive Alliance doesn't happen, and again, I would welcome a Progressive Alliance, I'd be very happy for one to happen. Then, we have to vote Labour. That's the only way. And, and I'm not moving to Scotland. Not yet. Not yet. I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up yet. I refuse to move to Scotland or Ireland. Not giving up yet. And like I said, we need to have a really serious. Oh no. No. Blasted all. Looks like Ruby's fleet's gone skewiff. Yes. That's the Ether Chemist complete. And like I say, that backpack is going to be an absolute nightmare to paint. It's going to be an absolute nightmare to paint that backpack. There we go. 2 down, 1 more to go. Up next, I've got these guys. The Arkanaut Company. Starmer thinks Scotland's a film set. Starmer thinks Scotland is a Unite film set, at least according to the recent program. Yeah. That is Mr. Nomad, you are right there. The main priority is getting good progressive policies out. They're going to get people back voting for the Labour Party. And then focus on getting the Tories out. That is the next general election. And like I say, if we can get PR in, UBI. You see, the thing is, of all things, the pandemic of all things has shown that you could have UBI, universal basic income. And I'd be fine if they brought in universal basic income, but if you do bring universal basic income in, there has to be other policies put in place, because For example, if landlords knew that people on or on UBI getting an X amount of money, just as like we saw them with universal credit, by the way. Another interesting thing, wherever universal credit in, low rent also increased as well. Interesting. Yeah, another bizarre yet interesting thing, but again, that's again policy that we need to sort out. And it's just deciding what that policy is going to be. And at the moment, as much as I would love to have UBI brought in, there's other stuff that takes precedence. Other stuff that has to take precedence as well. Like, I think sorting out rent and decreasing the power of landlords while increasing the power to renters would be a fantastic start. Because one of the interesting things is in Europe, the average time that someone rents for is 10 years or more. That is the average time someone rents in Europe. In the UK, it's 3. So the average place that someone rents is about 3 years. Like I say, think about that. 3 years is not a long time. 3 years is not a long time when you think about it. But that's because in Europe they have a lot better, stuff to get away with. In fact, speaking of scandals, because we didn't talk about it, there was almost another Grenfell-style tower fire. There was almost another Grenfell-style tower fire. That's we can say it right. That happened on. Was it Thursday or Friday it happened? I can't remember now, but cladding, Tories have been saying since Grenfell, we'll try and sort out this cladding issue. Still, years later, cladding is still a problem on all these places. And in the fire safety bill, the reason why Tories are not putting this in is because their excuse is that this isn't the bill to discuss the removal of cladding. Instead, it will be up to the tenant, not the leaseholder, to be responsible to pay for removing those panels. And I think the cost is something about £800, I think. So yeah, I mean, you've got to look at the other fact is a lot of people, if they suddenly had a bill of £400 put on them, they would be bankrupt. So imagine now your leaseholder says, I'm charging you extra money to remove the cladding that's on your building that I installed and paid to install. What position is that person going to be put in? It's the exact same way the Tories behaved with 0 hour contracts. The exact same way Tories have behaved with 0 hour contracts. Ever since going back to the days of the coalition and David Cameron, Tories have been saying, we're going to do something about 0 hour contracts, that we'll do something about them. Every single election, including Boris in 2019. What have they done about 0 hour contracts? Nothing. They haven't proposed a single bill or a piece of legislation that would actually try and do that. So, like I say, these are issues that need to be solved, and Labour can put massive vote winners in on this and should be able to. I mean, the fact that it's so obvious now that one of the biggest vote winners Labour could potentially do is actually look at putting some serious teeth on anti-corruption policies could be a serious vote winner for Labour. You know, their entire possible general election campaign could be essentially to try and restore some dignity to the UK electorate, the UK politics system. You know, let's win back people's trust, not only just in Labour, but in politics in general. And here's what we're going to do. You know, can be very good for them. But again, Starmer does not want to seem to put out policies. Like I say, a lot of how we progress depends on what we see the action come from Labour in the next couple of weeks. But the focus needs to be now on winning the next general election. That is the next focus. There's no other task more important than to do that. Yep. So another big vote winner, if we can't get, let's face for some reason we can't get PR across the board, the next big thing I think we need to look at is getting PR into the voting system to elect the House of Lords, or we'll change it to like the People's House. Or something like that. Again, fact checking wouldn't really work so much. That's more a UK media thing, but that's up to the media themselves really to do more than anything. Like I say, I think one of the biggest things that would help a lot of UK media is to get Leviston 2 passed, which would give them a charter, and it would give Ipso more, not Ipso, wrong organisation, the Independent Press Complaints Authority more ammunition to go out and tackle, press complaints and hold the press to a higher standard. Yeah, that is true. They aren't calling themselves the party of business anymore. But it's not going to be long. Like I say, after all the checks are in place next year, you're going to see a lot, I mean a lot, of UK businesses start to seriously say that we need to be rejoining the customs union and the single market. And that is when you will start to see more of the moderate Tories start to come in, or should we say, come back into the party. Because, like I say, at the moment, the free market fundamentalists are running the party. And when they start to do that, there'll be another Tory civil war. And if that happens, fantastic. Like I say, there's already potentially on the cards Tory civil war anyway, between not only the northern MPs, but the southern MPs, those who support the levelling up agenda, and those that support the global Britain agenda can't agree on policy. So there is going to be an almighty fight at some point, and the seeds have been planted. And as I saw one particular interesting story today, I think it was in the Times. It might have been. I think it was in the Times that the Tories have a lie baked into their own campaign now, and that is, of course, Brexit, and how successful it is and how successful they are. The problem is, the more they double down on the nationalism, the patriotism, whatever, the more crazy they're going to become. So, but at the same time, we can't wait for the Conservative Party to implode on itself. We don't have the time to wait or to waste on that. It would just be pointless to waste. It'd be a waste of time wishing for it to, shall we say, hurry itself up sooner, but it's going to happen sooner or later. Good when it happens, but like I say, we've got bigger fish to fry in the Labour Party at the moment. And like I say, it all comes down to having that. Oops, what did Dude say? I think Dude said, why do you think Labour Party will have a fight? I think that it's going to be a fight between, as we saw last time, between the Blairites faction, which is again currently in control, Momentum on the left, the old Corbynites. We're all going to have a fight to say who was right, who was wrong. And the thing is, they're both right in areas, but they're also both wrong in areas. They need to, like I say, unity is needed more than ever for the Labour Party. They all need to come together. Regardless of whatever side they're on, and start sitting down. and having a serious talk. Because Labour is not going to get elected unless all its party are in unison. Whether they are. Labour is not going to get elected unless all its parties acting one in unison. It's the only way Labour is going to get elected. So they need to all sit down and have a serious talk. They need to put the egos aside. They need to stop saying that they're right. Both sides need to stop saying that they're right all the time. And they need to have a serious talk. And I hope, because this is the phrase that is being bandied around a lot at the moment, some serious soul searching needs to take place. Because if there isn't, as we said before, 3 years is not a long time before the next general election. Three years is not a long time. And that is what we need to focus on. Because I keep on saying it, and I love to keep on saying things. I like to repeat myself because I think it pounds into your heads the point that we're trying to make. So, we've lost. Sucks to be Labour at the moment, but we need to pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, get back on the horse, and get ready to fight the next general election. We can't be sulking around in a pity party, blaming, Momentum blaming the Blairites blaming Corbyn, it just can't go on. Can't go on. There needs to be a serious coming together. And the sooner it happens, the better. Because if not, then we'll end up with Boris for a decade. I do not want to end up with Boris Johnson being Prime Minister for that long. No one does. So these guys are coming along nicely now. We've got all their backpacks and we're sticking them to the bases. So next we'll get them some heads. Always good to get a head in life. And then we'll get their arms and whatnot sorted out. And yeah, don't get me wrong, it's good to keep on talking about Tory corruption. But as the problem we saw in Hartlepool, people don't care. Sad fact is, people don't care. And we've got to make them care. We've got to make them care. We've got to make them care about this corruption. One of the best things we can do is talk about legislation and policies that a Labour government can bring in to help put a stop to that completely. I know, it's insane. It really is insane that if you look at a lot of what people from Hartlepool are saying on the ground and people who are doorstepping for Labour, they were bringing this up and they didn't care. They even thought it was true as well, but they just didn't care. Because as I've said constantly for so long, there is a serious problem in the UK of political apathy. And that shows you just how dangerous it can be. Because you can have Boris Johnson be on the take, doing all this type of stuff, and not just Boris Johnson, but Robert Jerrick, his brother, you name it. No one cares. So the big thing is we've got to make them care. We've got to get rid of this political apathy. And I don't know where we'd start. I don't know where we'd start for it. I tell you that. But like I say, so much and so often, I don't have all the answers. Never profess to. But sometimes it's good to have a talk about this conversation because sometimes you might be able to come up with the answers, or someone else have a new view or opinion that leads to these answers. So it's good to have these talks. It's really good to have them. And like I say, if it's true that the prevailing wisdom in Hartlepool is we voted Conservative, now give us our money. It's not going to take long for Boris to break that promise. And the more the Conservatives call him out on it, the better. Because, like I say, the new Conservative MP in Hartlepool was in an interview, and it was brought up to him multiple times. Hey, your party's been in power for more than 15 years, and yet your party has not passed any legislation or taken care of these people. Why are you suddenly going to start taking care of them now that they've got an extra Conservative MP? There's no evidence to say that these left behind towns are going to become better. I'm sorry to say, it's going to be a harsh lesson to learn for not only just the people of Hartlepool, but a lot of people in the north. Yep. It's the last one glued to the stand. Next. That is next. We can do that. They can do that. So, okay with you. Need to model of a pony. True. Yep, true. Punk rock was an entire genre of music that did come from the Thatchers. That is true. Like I say, the arts have suffered under Boris. Come on. 72. Oh, yes, that is 72. Reading the wrong number. Reading the wrong number. Thing is, how do you tackle those lies? I mean, it does seem that people become so. I think people are so emotionally invested in Brexit that they've also become so emotionally attached to Boris, and that for them, they've got to see Boris succeed to know that Brexit succeeds. Brexit has succeeded. So, like I say, there is that to it as well. Let's give you a volley pistol. I think the volley pistol is the best option. Does anyone know? Yeah, you are right. Spot on there. Spot on. They're trying all they possibly can this year to try and make Brexit a success. And it's not going to be a success. We know that. We've been saying that for how long, and she's been showing how many examples. The thing is, a lot of people still don't care because there is a lot of emotional attachment to Brexit, unfortunately. Hence why a lot of people voted for Boris Johnson, because they're emotionally attached to the idea of Brexit. Plus, how do you take down Boris Johnson? If Boris, even if all these allegations turn out to be true, then what? It's just another example of, unfortunately, Teflon Boris. If all these allegations about his wallpaper and whatnot, how do you take him down? I think you're going to have to beat him at a general election. That's the only way I think you're going to beat Boris. And I think the only way you do it is by offering a better alternative than what Boris can offer. I think that's the only way. There we go. That's the captain. Just needs his shoulder pads on there, but we'll let his arms dry before we try that. In fact, I think we'll let most of them. We'll do most of them before we put their shoulder pads on. Right. So. We want light sky hook, volley gun, but we don't want the sky pike. But ultimately, though, those both Ireland and Scotland achieving independence, I think Ireland will probably happen first before Scotland. Will be massive embarrassments for Boris. I think it's how long will the Conservatives put up with his tomfoolery. Ultimately, I think the answer to the question of how do you defeat Boris Johnson is it will be a Tory that ends up taking out Boris Johnson. Ultimately, I think that's what will happen. So, well, Ireland achieved, but you get the idea. Northern Ireland achieving independence. No, not Northern Ireland achieving independence. Ireland reunifying. Oh, it's been a long day. It's been a long day. It's barely even halfway through. Oh yeah, I also think at some point me and Max will be doing a live commentary response with Jeff Taylor at some point. So that will be fun. We'll get. At least I'll have someone to suffer with me this time. No, I won't. I won't suffer alone. They are. Max describes Jeff as a good friend. Yeah, like I said, that was painful. The thing is now, because I've watched Jeff Taylor, he keeps popping up in my video recommendations. So I'm blaming you all because he keeps on appearing in my video recommendations. Yep. This is my light skyhook. Now we're the next Ethermatic volley gun. Volley gun. Pew 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 pew. So we're rattling through these very quickly. Like I say, I think once we get the special weapons done, I think we'll be zooming through them even faster. Delete part. 64, 65. Where are you? Where are you? 65. 66. Where's that hand? 66, 66, 66. Very wibbly. Very wibbly wobbly. See, I'm just lost in. I'm just lost in making these now. Anyone heard from Brian from Teesside? No, I have to say I've never heard of Brian from Teesside. Yep. Come on. There we go, there we go, there we go, there we go. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So hopefully this volley gun will help me mow down the goblin hordes of the Gloomspite Gits. Wham bam, thank you, ma'am. Yep. Just like that. Just like that. Just like that. Yeah, Ikid Claw is the best. Ikid Claw is the best Skaven to play in Warhammer 2. Not gonna lie, he is. Let's build the rest, shall we? One, two, three, four, five, six. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, one more heads. I'll go with this one. Oh. So we'll have these done, I think, very quickly now. Now we've done them with the special weapons. Literally, all we need to do is slap the heads on these guys and give them some arms. So we'll have these done. We'll have these done soon. I think I'll call it a day after I've assembled these guys. Because I really want to go play some Warhammer 2 now. Thoughts on my status as a Neo Surf? As long as they don't come after my Warhammer, my 40k, I'll be fine. But then, then I'll be in the streets. Be in the streets. Like I say, some of the real test of the disaster that Brexit's going to be is when these checks get done. That's the big test. Because the second all these full checks start getting applied, that's when we'll start to see more chaos at the border. And like I say, many of these people have still said that the infrastructure to try and deal with this is still years off. There we go. Right. Let's get these guys a pair of arms. Let's go. So one of you. One of you. One of you. Dwarves gotta have an axe. Gotta have an axe for the dwarves. Can't have them all swords. Cool axe, Southampton. One, two, three, four. My phone's paying off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And 7. Yes. Oh, he's dead. Yep. Right. Arm time. Oh yeah, another thing, if you've seen recently, apparently, what is it? Lawrence Fox and Richard Trice are apparently opening up a right wing comedy club. I think that's the funniest thing I've heard in quite a while. Yeah, exactly. Right wing comedy. I mean, Christ, Boris Johnson's is the prime minister. I think that's enough. Oh, oh, sorry, disconnected there. I mean, yeah, right wing comedy. Yeah, it's. I think we've got enough of that, to be honest, going on at the moment. Don't think we need any more. And you are right. Right wing comedy doesn't work because all right wing comedy does is punch down. You should be punching up. Yep. So that's all their arms done now. They just need the other arms, which is the pistol arm. And these guys will be done. One, two, three, four, five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's two more. You. Yep. I'm gonna have to drill some holes in these pistols that they've got later on, I think. Otherwise, they just don't look as good. don't look as good. As you can see, here's one we just stuck. Trying to save Lord Scroth, some very angry lizard people. True. You know what I might do? I might do the Vampire Coast campaign. You think? Maybe. We'll see. We will see. We will see. We will see. Shoot. Late to the chat, which army of 40k do you play? My main army is an orc army, so I'm very excited about the new releases. But my second army is Admech. And that's them done. And then in Age of Sigmar, I play some Gloomspite Gits, and I've got my Cadron Overlords, which I'm still in the process of building into an army. But yeah, that's that done. Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us today. Like I say, we built Aether Chemist. We built Aether Navigator. And we built a full Arcanaut company with Volleygun and Skyhook. Oh, so thank you for joining me. This was a bit of an impromptu stream. Decided on the spur of the moment to do it. So thank you all for joining me. Quite enjoyed it. It's always nice to just sit down and have a chat while you're doing this. Yep. But now I'm, I think, been very much inspired. Yes, Joe, that's the Lawrence Fock and Richard Trice are planning a Brexit comedy club, or sorry, a right-wing comedy club. Like I say, I'm sure that'll be fun for them. But like I say, thank you very much for everyone for joining me. Like I say, this is a bit of an impromptu stream that I just decided to jump on spur of the moment and do. Like I say, thank you very much for joining me today. It's been quite a nice afternoon. I don't know. Might go have some beans on toast, I think. Very nice, very easy lunch, very easy Sunday lunch. Well, not a Sunday lunch. But yeah, thank you for joining me. Look out for some more videos coming next week, and we'll see you all soon.